guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video going back to my roots, talking about my most read historical romance authors. I read a lot of historical romance back in like 2020, 2021, 2022. That's when probably over half of my reading was historical romance, and I just have not read a lot of it lately. I do feel like there has been I don't even know what to call it, but like historical romance is not thriving. It is not thriving at all, and I used to love the genre, so making this video has made me very nostalgic, and it does make me want to pick this up again and maybe read some more, especially in the winter time. I feel like I vividly remember like a couple winters ago where I was reading a lot of historical romance during that time, listening to audiobooks, and it was cold outside and just like loving that feeling, so I would love to get back into them. But I recently did a video where I talked about my most read authors, and I did not include any historical romance authors. I asked if you guys wanted a video of that, and you guys said yes, so I have my top 9 here of my most read authors, and it's funny because some of these I would not consider all-time favorites. One of them, I don't think I've given any of her books 5 stars, but she's on this list because I have read a lot of her books. I do have some all-time favorites that won't be on this list, like Joanna Lindsey, Julie Garwood, Joanna Shoup, Diana Quincy, Amanda Quick. Like them, I've only read like 5 of their books, even though I would consider them like all-time favorite historical romance authors. I do need to read more of their backlist, 100%, absolutely, but these are some of my favorite historical romance authors. I know Christy went ahead and did this video. I can link hers down below as well. We do have a book club with Samantha and Christy where we read historical romances together, so I still read at least one a month unless I DNF it, which did happen last month, but I love historical romances, so I will stop chatting and get through it. I'm going to talk about one book per author, but the first one I'm talking about 3 because there is no question who this first author is for me. I am an angsty reader through and through, and this is probably the angstiest historical romance author there is, and I have read, let me see, I have a graphic that I made for Instagram, which I always end up doing. I usually with my content, I'm like, let me do the planning through a graphic, put it on Instagram, and then it's easy for me to talk in my video because the planning's all done. But Lorraine Heath, my queen, my beloved, is number 1 at 24 books. She is actually up there. She's probably my 3rd most read author then at this point. When looking at all of my authors, including my contemporary favorites, she just is in the competition because her books are amazing. She is also one that's still slowly still publishing historical romance. So many of these do not even publish anymore, which is so sad, but I love Lorraine Heath so much. My favorites should be no surprise because I talk about these all the time. The Duke and the Lady in Red made me bawl my eyes out. She is not the best person because of things that happen in her life, and so she does swindle people out of money, and she decides to set her eyes on this Duke, and she has a very good reason for doing this though, and the Duke catches her and doesn't let her get away, and it is their romance, and it is so incredibly heartbreaking and amazing, and I actually feel like I should reread a lot of these. It has been like 5 years since I've read some of these books because I was like deep in my historical romance lore back in 2020, 2021, but love this one. Made me cry. I do remember I listened to the audiobook of this one, and then I also really loved The Earl Takes All. This is the Gorilla Twins book. This one is devastating as well, but so angsty. So he is in love with his twin brother's wife, and she gets pregnant, and I think that she had actually lost a baby before, and that is why they're so gentle with her now and like very hesitant to cause her any stress because they don't want her to lose the baby now. And her husband, his twin brother, dies. He gets attacked by a gorilla when they're like on vacation, and so he comes back pretending to be his twin brother so that she does not stress too much and cause too much stress on the baby. So he has to come back acting like he's his twin brother and in love with this woman who he is in love with, and he has to act like his brother who is dead. Like, talk about angst. This was so good. And I want to reread this too. Maybe I'll do a video rereading my favorite historical romances, but I also want to do a video of like randomly selecting like old school romances from my shelves and reading them. So all the ideas. So good. And then the last one I really do love. I feel like this is like interchangeable with everything, but Once More My Darling Rogue is an amnesia romance. And it is so good. He is a self-made man. He is not really treated well by anybody, and especially the heroine really is mean to him. And then he finds her. It's basically an overboard retelling. He finds her with amnesia, and she had like fallen into the river, and he is like, oh my gosh, like you're actually my servant. And she has to like bathe him and like wait on him. She feels like, I feel like I am rich. She's like, I feel like buy a lot of things and like I don't know how to clean, and she's just like, this is weird. And so it's definitely so good, so fun, so much fun. Not as angsty as the other ones, but I definitely really love this one as well. I kind of also just really love the movie Overboard, and I loved the retelling of it. So I love Lorraine Heath. Like I could talk about so many of her books in this video of my top favorites, but top 3 for sure, love her. The next one is no surprise, and it's devastating that she is no longer writing, and that is Lisa Kleypas. She just disappeared. A couple, so many of these, not even a couple of them, so many of these people on my list have disappeared. I will say also, we talk about it like every single live show I do with my Historical Hellions book club, but the genre is dying, and I think a big part of that is also the fact that stores are no longer stocking mass market paperbacks, and publishing is now no longer going to be printing them. I watched a video from Ellie Alexander, the cozy mystery author, and she has a Bake Shop mystery series that's like over 20 books long, all mass market. She said they are no longer being printed in mass market. Her books are going to go into trade paperback, so they're just completely getting rid of our mass market lovely books, which makes me sad because I feel like it's just like this is historical romance. Like I have 2 cases full of my mass market paperbacks and they're going away, and I feel like it's just not the same reading historical romance in a big floppy paperback. But anyways, Lisa Kleypas is next. She stopped writing. I don't even remember the last book she wrote. It's been so long. And there is teased a project that Allie Hazelwood and Adriana Herrera are doing with historical romance authors. I don't know. There was like a tease and people assume from the tease that it's going to be including Lisa Kleypas. Maybe, I don't know. But 2 of my top favorites are not actually, I think, common favorites, but one of them is Then Came You. We read this with my book club. This one, the heroine does not want her sister to marry the hero because she doesn't think that that marriage will work. And I remember really loving this story, and I had looked through all of mine and all of my reviews when I was writing them, and this one definitely stood out to me as one that I really loved. And we have the OG cover, and this one actually came out in 1993, so I really love this one. But then the favorite of mine is Mine Till Midnight. I'm a sucker for a self-made man romance, so in this one he is a self-made man. She has to take care of her siblings, and her one brother is not making it easy on her, and so Cam offers to help, and he says he's not gonna like be with her or do anything, and they obviously fall in love, but he is a self-made man, so he is also Romani, so people are really not nice to him, but their romance was everything. I think this whole series is my favorite out of all of her series too, the Hathaway series. So incredibly amazing. I was obsessed. Okay, so that was Lisa, and the next one, oh, I didn't even tell you guys to guess. You guys, I think you guys would know. The next one is my queen, and that is, oh, I'm just like, I don't think I've been able to meet some of these. I actually got to do an interview with Lorraine Heath like online, so I've talked to her before. I've never met Lisa Kleypas, but I have met the queen, Beverly Jenkins, a couple times now, and she is literally amazing, and I am obsessed with everything about her. And she has also not published in a while, and I do not know, she had talked about the publishers not wanting historical romances anymore, and she had mentioned wanting to write fantasy, so I'll be interested to see if she does that. But Indigo is one of my absolute favorites. Oh, and I remember we went to Steamy Lit, me and my friends. I don't remember what year it was, but like there was literally a standing ovation for her at an event we went to, like a panel that was packed full of people. Standing ovation for Queen Bev. So this one is definitely my favorite. She offers refuge to anybody who needs help, and he is actually injured, and he ends up staying with her, and they end up falling in love. I have not read this book in so long as well, and I would love to reread it, but this one and Vivid and Night Song are definitely ones that are definite standouts for me. I think her old stuff I regularly give 5 stars compared to her new stuff, but I love her book so much. She also does write more Western stuff now, which is not my favorite subgenre. I don't love Western historical romances, so that's a me problem, but a lot of her older stuff were not like super Western, and I think that's why I love them. But also this series, the Destiny series, is amazing, and Destiny Surrender is definitely my favorite. He ends up getting her pregnant, and she is a sex worker, and so they have to figure out what to do. So I love this one so much. So good. And love Beverly Jenkins as a whole. I have read 19 of her books, which is insane. So I don't even know if I said it. So Lorraine was 24, Elisa was 23, Beverly Jenkins was 19, and then the next one doesn't really compare, but that is Tessa Dare at 13 books. But I love Tessa Dare, and she is one that, listen, I feel like if we had our OGs come back, they could revive this genre, but she is one that left before her last book even came out. And so The Bride Bet, I think it was The Bride Bet, was supposed to be her final book, and she, in the series, that was like blowing up. Like, I'm talking, like, everybody loved the series. We would have these authors in the Goodreads Choice Awards. Like, when is the last time we had a historical romance in the Goodreads Choice Awards? And she was one of the most popular ones, and then just disappeared and has not written since, and I am devastated. But I loved her books. I devoured them. I have read 13 of them, and I will say 2 of my favorites are Romancing the Duke and When a Scot Ties the Knot. She decides to make up a fiance, basically, and says that he is away and that she writes to him. So she does write these letters to this guy and sends them off thinking that no one gets them, but it's going to the man with the same exact name that she made up. He shows up and he's like, "Hey fiance, I'm here. How are you?" And she is like, what? But she had this lie for so long, and it was so good. Tessa Dare has such fun premises, and I feel like she does like the kind of lighthearted rom-com historical romance without being too rom-com, because I don't like rom-com. I don't like how a lot of current historical romances read too fluffy and funny, and this did it so well. So like, no one can replicate what Tessa Dare is doing. But Romancing the Duke, so good. If I remember correctly, her father was like a famous author for this like children's series, and she ends up inheriting this castle, and there is a blind duke living there, and they are both like, "This is mine," and they refuse to leave, and they fall in love, and it is so fun but so angsty and so good. This is one also I want to reread because I just remember loving this so. I like vividly remember I've seen of like people cosplaying the book that her dad wrote showing up at the castle. I need to reread this as well. So good. Then the next one, Julia Quinn with 12 books, and obviously we're going to talk about When He Was Wicked, my all-time favorite book by her. This one is Michael and Francesca's story, and it was everything. She married his best friend. I think were they cousins? They were related. He had always loved her, and then he dies. Like her husband dies, and so she is grieving, and they fall in love. And I love an angsty yearning romance, and this was so good, so good. But I really love her Smythe Smith series as well, which they talk about the Smythe Smiths in the Bridgerton series, and I love it so much. And so The Sum of All Kisses and Just Like Heaven are my 2 favorites, but I'm going to talk about The Sum of All Kisses because I vividly remember as well listening to these on audio, but I have to look up the synopsis again to remind myself because I read these so long ago. Make sure I get all the details correct. Okay, yeah, because I read this in 2021, and so I remember them having to go on this carriage together because someone was getting married, and it's so much forced proximity but so much hate to love. He was injured and he does have to walk with a cane. I do remember that being part of his character as well, and it is definitely very hate to love, and I loved this. But I also love Just Like Heaven. I love the entire Smythe Smith series so much, and I feel like it's so underrated by her. Do not consider this author a favorite author of mine because I read a lot of her books and I feel like a lot of them were like 4 stars, but that's Sophie Jordan. I have read 11 of her books. So my favorite by her is The Scot of Mine, which I actually did really love, but I gave it 4 stars. I don't have a review written, so I don't know why, but I read this in 2020. Sophie Jordan's are very short and bingeable. I feel like a lot of her audios are less than 9 hours, which is why I read a lot of them, but in this one, she lies and said that she's pregnant to get out of a engagement to a horrible fiance, and she runs off to the Scottish Highlands, and this guy, his family is cursed that I think it's like if they have a child, then like the child dies or they die, like someone dies because of this curse because of these children. And so he finds her and he's like, "Oh my gosh, she's already pregnant. This is perfect. I'm gonna marry her. This will be my son." And like no one dies. She's not actually pregnant. And she can't tell anybody that because she doesn't want to get married to this awful guy back home. So it gets very messy, but I really, really like this one. Such a fun premise. I really did enjoy it. And then she does have one that's a While You Were Sleeping retelling too that I liked, but overall not a super favorite historical romance author, but she's on the list. And another one that I don't know if I've even given 5 stars, and I think I've given a lot of hers 2, but I do really like her and I've liked some of her books, that's why I keep on reading them, and that's Eloisa James. I have read 11 of them and she's just very hit or miss. I'll either really enjoy them or really dislike them. So one of my favorites though was My American Duchess because it's a second chance romance. So I actually did give this one 5 stars. I just looked at my review, but in this one the heroine is an American and she's pretty eccentric, and she has already broken off 2 engagements. She's engaged a 3rd time, and she's like, I have to see this through. Like, I have to get married. But she meets the hero, and the hero is instantly in love with her, and she is like, I can't be with you. I literally am engaged, and I am determined to marry this person, and the story goes from there. I literally, in my review, say, hello, angsty and forbidden romance, and I was obsessed. So I actually did give this one 5 stars, and I loved everything about it. And I read it in 2021. So that was my year of historical romances, but I did really love this one. Another historical romance author I would not consider a favorite because her books are also very hit or miss for me, and I loved her old stuff, and her voice now is just like not my favorite, and I think she's even stopping writing historical romances anyways. With 10 books is Sarah MacLean. This series, obsessed. Like, top tier, amazing historical romance. I don't even know what the series is called, but the first one's 9 Rules to Break When Romancing a Rake. We have this gorgeous step back. I loved everything in the series. I did not love her Wicked and the Wallflower series that much. Her Bare Knuckle Bastards, I think, and then anything else that I've read by her, it's just been like okay, and then especially like her new stuff, I'm just like not super a fan of. This first series of hers is amazing. She wants to do bad things. She has like a list of things that she wants to do in order to like live a more scandalous life, and this guy ends up helping her, and they fall in love in the process, and it is so good. And just like, I remember again listening to these books on audio and just absolutely devouring all of them in this series, and I just love them so much. But some of my favorite historical romances for sure, and she is coming in, did I say 10 or 9 that I've read by her? I have read 10 books by Sarah MacLean. Okay, and then my last author is Kerrigan Byrne, and I will, no surprise, be talking about the Highwaymen series. Is this actually called a different series? I don't remember what the series is called, but the Highwaymen, I feel like, was a lot of our gateway into darker historical romance, and this was everybody's favorite. Like, this whole series is amazing, and this one specifically is everything. It is super angsty. She is kidnapped by a highwayman, and that is all I can say, because there are some things in here that make you absolutely love their story, and it is so good. But like I said, the entire series is definitely on the darker side, which is why I ate them up. This is another series I would really love to reread. I've read this whole series. She comes in at 9 books, so I have not read all of her backlist because I know she's written a lot more, but this for sure is so good, and I remember us all being like the historical romance readers of YouTube. We're obsessed with Kerrigan Byrne in this series, and we love dark romance, and this delivered on the dark, angsty historical romance for sure. Those are my top 9 most read historical romance authors. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was so nostalgic because I have not read some of these authors literally in 4 years, so I would really love to read some more. Maybe read some of Lorraine Heath's new books. I do have to read Diana Quincy's new book because I love her, and she's actually going to be writing a thriller next. I feel like so many historical romance authors are going to other genres. Sarah MacLean wrote a fiction book that really blew up, so that's working really well for her. And I know Sophie Jordan wrote fantasy, and there's a couple others that wrote fantasy as well, so it's going to be interesting what happens to the historical romance genre moving forward. But you might see some more pop up on my reading in the next few months because this has definitely put me in the mood to read more. But those are my most read historical romance authors. Let me know in the comments your most read historical romance authors, and if there are any others you want me to read, let me know. If you've made it this far, leave me any sort of flower emoji in the comments to let me know you've watched, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.